Residents still cleaning up and picking up the pieces tonight.
Our Peter Kevikauskas spoke with the National Weather Service about those rainfall totals Gary just showed us.
I'm joined this afternoon by Peter Bonakis with the National Weather Service in Burlington. Peter, thank you so much for joining us on what is definitely a very busy day for you.
It certainly is. My pleasure to join you, though.
First of all, could you just talk about some of the rain totals that we saw in the Northeast Kingdom last night and statistically how significant they were?
Yes, we had over 8 inches of rainfall in downtown St. Johnsbury, which smashes the all-time record one-day rainfall by over 3 inches. So extremely unusual. We also had heavy rain further north across much of Essex County. Into Orleans County, the Morgan area had 3 to 4 inches of rain as well. So it was rather localized just in the Northeast Kingdom, but within that area, we did see rainfall amounts between 4, 5, 6, even over 8 inches, like I mentioned in downtown St. Johnsbury. We do have climatological and statistical data that suggests the average return interval for an 8-inch rainfall in St. Johnsbury over a 6-hour period is over 1,000 years. So extremely rare event for sure.
And now, as you mentioned, you know, not only were we talking about places like St. Johnsbury, just wanted to talk about that tight gradient that we saw. Kind of the rain totals quickly began to drop off from St. J just a few miles in either direction. Isn't that right? And could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that's true. The rainfall gradients were extreme in that area. We had some thunderstorms that developed directly beneath an upper-level low-pressure system. These thunderstorms were not moving very rapidly, so where they developed, which happened to be right there in the lower Passumpsic Valley, is basically where they stayed for 3 or 4 hours before they eventually moved off into northern New Hampshire and dissipating across Maine currently. So it really was localized just where these thunderstorms happened to be, and unfortunately in some populated areas there in the Northeast Kingdom.
And as you mentioned, some communities like St. Johnsbury waking up to 7 to 8 inches of new rain definitely caught a lot of people off guard. It definitely caught a lot of people, even within the meteorology community, off guard. Could you just talk about a little bit about how complex it is to forecast systems like these and these potential rain totals that we saw?
Well, here's the thing. We always are concerned anytime there's an upper-level low-pressure system in the summertime interacting with tropical moisture. The challenge of it, though, is the things that normally will organize rain, say a cold front, the mountains across Vermont, we always think about as being an organizing feature for what we call orographic precipitation. Those factors are not in play when we have a mid or upper-level low-pressure system, especially at night when the low-level winds are weak. So even though that we knew there was some potential for locally heavy rainfall, it's very difficult to pinpoint where that's going to be. And as you mentioned, during the pre-dawn hours is where these storms eventually took root right over St. Johnsbury and Lyndonville areas and up towards Morgan. And it's just very challenging to be able to try to pinpoint exactly where those heavy rainfall totals are going to occur in these types of setups.
And as you mentioned, you know, we didn't have the forcing mechanisms to keep these rain showers and thunderstorms moving. And is it safe to assume that we might study these in the coming days, months, and even years? And could you talk a little bit about what we could possibly learn from an event like this?
Sure. We always do post-event reviews here at the National Weather Service, and we work with our friends in the media, like you folks there at WCAX, to not just study the meteorology, but the communication and the messaging, the service we provide to emergency managers and residents. So in the coming weeks and months, you know, we'll be having those conversations and, you know, always looking to see how that communication can be better, especially in the middle of the night. You know, it's really difficult when folks are sleeping to communicate these significant flash floods. So that's something we always look at.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, you're welcome.